Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. On my right side, I have this little chip icon. That's my custom models tab. And basically what this is going to allow you to do is to fine tune any of the stock models that we have available for you in the library. It's going to do it automatically. There's no coding or CS experience required here because essentially what we're allowing you to do is to go through and analyze your images. And so in this case, I've already analyzed a whole bunch of these WFA images. These are just some examples. Oops, those, yeah, anyway. So I've analyzed a whole bunch of them. I've approved the ROIs, and now I can go to my custom models, and here's the model that I just started for these. And so what we see here is when I start my custom model, I'm going to go back and show you how to start it. So I can press create a custom model and give it my little name, a little description, and then I'm going to associate it with one of the projects that I'm working on. So in that case, it's this webinar project that we're working on. I even here have the ability to share this model. So once it's trained up, it's going to automatically show up in my library. I can also share this with other premium users. So if Christy is a premium user here, that's going to allow us to share that model and both use the same capabilities. So really nice feature there. So back into my webinar model, what I can do now is I can add all the images that I've already approved from my project. And probably the most important thing to think about here is we're training a model really the same way you'd train any animal in a behavioral experiment. We want to be very specific and very consistent with what we show it. So if I'm trying to build an RNA scope model, or in this case, it looks like I've got a bunch of perinodal net images, I want to make sure that I'm not only showing it really good examples of the annotations that I'm looking for, but also that I'm only showing it that one class. So if you have multiple channels in your RNA scope, or if I have, as I do here, multiple different types of stains, I want to make sure that I'm not including those parvalbumin or DAPI stains in my model. I only want to show it the WFA images in this case. I can do that a couple different ways. I can go into my gallery view here and I can look at all the images that I'm including. So, that one's good. But this one is an 8-oxo image. This is a calcium, an oxidative stress marker. So I don't want to include that in my model because it's not the same as WFA. So I'm going to deselect it. From there, I can add all those images, and that starts bringing together all the annotations that we've already gone through and carefully approved. In this case, we only require you to bring in 5 of these images of about that size. This is a little bit of a squishy point because the more images you show it, the better your model is going to train. 5 is really kind of a baseline. If you've got 31, as I do here, I totally suggest training on all 31, as many as you can. But at least from a really baseline level, you can start pretty low. And then lastly, I'm going to draw a couple contours within these bounding boxes. So this does 2 things. One, it allows me to see maybe where I was a little sloppy with my my ROIs. So, so I've selected my ROI. I'm going to, oh gosh, I'm going to move my ROI down so that it better encompasses that whole cell. In this case, maybe I'm going to bring in that side of it. It's drawing a little as I do. And then I'm going to draw a contour around that cell. And really what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to be as careful as possible to capture that cell. And actually, I'm going to delete that because I don't like what I did. I want to capture that cell or that staining right on the edge of the staining. And so this takes a little bit of work, certainly somewhere that you can spend as much time as you can, be as careful as possible to really get the edge of that cell. And then I'm going to press approve. And once I've approved the contour, I can move on to the next one. Again, I only need to do 20 contours like that. The more you do, the merrier, but 20 is our base requirement. And so that's great. Here's another good example where I wasn't very, I wasn't very careful with my ROI. I'm going to change the ROI a little bit. And again, I can, draw the contour around that. One thing to remember as you're going through this is there might just be some really bad examples of cells that you don't want to include. And so there's a couple of things you can do. One, we can actually delete out that ROI. We could redraw it, or I'm just going to skip this one entirely. And I don't want to include that in my data set. That's, totally reasonable to do until you get to all 20. From there, your train model button is going to illuminate and you can press that. It's going to come up with a little warning saying that this is about to train your model. Our model process, our model training process is done locally on our server, and so it's something that runs really fast compared to what you might have experienced in like NIS Elements or something like that. But it does take anywhere from a couple hours to a couple days, just depending on the workload. So what you'll see after you press train a model is back over here in your custom model tabs is you're going to have a couple of these that are in training. So you'll see an icon or an hourglass icon on that. Or if it's finished training, you're going to see it up here in your deployed models. Or if it's something that you're still working on, you've got the edit button here. And so I can always go back in and edit those models. This is also something that I really encourage everyone to do to customize models to be more specific for your data sets.